illogical approach to chess does have its advantages on occasion, Captain.
I prefer to call it inspired.
As you wish. At any rate, the game is yours. Live long and prosper. If I'm a human, I believe my response would be, go to hell. Would you care to assist me in performing surgery on a torpedo? Fascinating. Wonder how bad. Echo bars. Oh, this circuit A. I'd give real money if she'd shot. Wait, please. Wait. We've got a heartbeat. Where's that damn torpedo? Spread it, Jim. Rock and roll. Fire. Live long and prosper. And I saw them with their hands stuck out from beneath their tallit like this towards the congregation. I thought, wow. Something really got hold of me. I thought, I had no idea what was going on, but the sound of it and the look of it was magical. This is the shape of the letter Shin, Hebrew alphabet Shin. Very interesting letter in the language. It's the first letter in the word Shaddai, the first letter in the word Shalom, first letter in the word Shekhinah, which is the name of the feminine aspect of God, who supposedly was created to live amongst humans, the Shekhinah. Why you're not supposed to look came to me much, much later, much later. My wife Susan has a cousin who's a rabbi here in Los Angeles at Temple Israel, and I was telling him this story, and he said the reason you don't look is the legend is that during that benediction, Yiborechecho, the Shekhinah comes into the sanctuary to bless the congregation. And you don't want to see that because it's so powerful, you could really be seriously injured, or it could be fatal. So that's why you protect yourself by hiding your eyes. Don't look. I survived. I never dreamed that I would do that someday or be involved in it in some way. But sure enough, one day we're making the StarTrek series, television series. We come to a very lovely script called Amok Time, where my character, Spock, who comes from the Vulcan planet, has to go home to fulfill a marriage betrothal, to be married. And the lady who's going to conduct the service is a lady named T'Pau, played by a wonderful Jewish Viennese actress named Celia Lovsky. I'm supposed to meet her when we arrive at the planet. We exchange hellos. It was the first time we were seeing other Vulcans, other people of my race. So I was hoping to find some touches that could develop the story of the Vulcan sociology, history, whatever, ritual. So I said to the director, I think we should have some special greeting the Vulcans do, because somebody else, well, you know, humans, we have these rituals, things that we do. We shake hands, we nod to each other, we bow to each other, we salute each other. What do Vulcans do? So I suggested this. He said, okay. And that's how we did it as a greeting, a Vulcan greeting. Boy, that just took off through the culture. It was amazing. Within days after it was on the air, I was getting it on the street. People doing this to me, waving to me in this Vulcan gesture. That's interesting. And it's been that way to this day. It's almost 50 years later. It's sort of like a secret handshake or something, you know, that people enjoy to exchange with each other, as if to say, I'm in on it. I know this. I know the joke. You know, Star Trek, right? You know, hey, Star Trek. You know.
This is Leonard Nimoy, Mr. Spock, the co-star of Star Trek. I'd like to know what this role is that you play. Just what is the role that you're striving for?
basically Mr. Spock is a product of a marriage between an Earth woman and a Vulcan male. Vulcan is a planet outside of our solar system. And he's physically very similar to the human in anatomy, but his psychological and emotional orientation are quite different. He has complete emotional control. He's very scientifically oriented and is a very logical creature, you say. The point is that Vulcan was a planet that was very warlike and a very fierce race of people who almost did themselves in because they were always in conflict with each other and their emotions were so strong that they finally decided that emotion had to be done away with. And it became a wise choice to control emotions and gradually breed them out of the race so that they could function more logically and survive.
Well, you very seldom show emotion then. Is this
Very
difficult?
seldom. Well, you mean from an acting point of view?
Yes, from that.
Excuse me, it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but of course that's my job. Showing emotion or not showing emotion, whichever the case may be, is the actor's craft. You know, I'm often surprised when a man comes in to my house and can fix a leaky faucet, you know, that I've been working on perhaps for a couple hours and only managed to make it worse, you see. That's his craft. He comes in and does it. My craft is to play interesting and unusual characters.
Why is your part so successful, do you suppose?
Well, I think there are a lot of reasons.
It is.
Well, evidently, yeah.
Yes.
The male would seem to indicate that. There are a lot of reasons. I think it starts with the physical appearance. I think the fact that he is such a wise individual. I think people are fascinated with the idea that a man in the future may know something that we don't know today. I think they look to him for answers. He's a very dignified man and commands respect. He's obviously very intelligent. The control of the emotions, I think, is a very important thing. The fact that he's cool, the fact that he's sophisticated, he doesn't get riled in a situation. He has control of himself. All of these things are working, I think.
Your makeup is most unusual. Does that take a long time?
Well, it takes an hour and a half, which, after you've done it for the 150th, 175th time, seems like a very long time.
Yes. And whose idea was it to have pointed ears?
Well, that started with Gene Roddenberry, who's the creator of the series, the executive producer. He saw the character with pointed ears and various other physical things which we experimented with. And I should say that just before we started shooting the show, we had experimented with 4 or 5 different types of ears. And we were not happy with any of them. And I got a little nervous about it. I thought this is going to be awfully funny if these ears don't look right. And I went to Gene and I asked him to give up the idea of the pointed ears. And he said, no, he wouldn't. We're going to keep working on this and we'll get it right eventually. And he said, I promise you that if you do the show with the ears, at the end of 13 episodes, if you're not happy, I'll write you a script where you get an ear job.
What are they made of?
They're made of foam rubber. And it's a tip, a foam rubber tip that's cast in a mold that's made specifically for my ear. And it fits up on top of my ear.
And it takes about an hour and a half.
Not just for the ears, the eyebrows and the entire makeup. Yeah.
Are they uncomfortable to wear at all?
Oh, sometimes, but not terribly. I've more or less gotten used to them. My ears have become accustomed to the point.
To being pointed. People recognize you, don't they?
Yeah, I guess the hair makes it pretty easy to spot. Of course, I have had young children in stores and places when I've been shopping say, that man has a haircut just like Spock.
Really?
Yeah.
And they didn't realize what they were saying?
Well, and then on a second look they say, could it be? You know, that kind of thing.
Well, it is your own hair.
Yes, it is.
There's a bit of it. It's beautiful. It's nice and thick.
Thank you.
You're definitely tight now. Can you think of other parts? Do you think it'll be difficult to take other parts?
I really don't worry about that for this reason. If I were to concern myself with that while I was playing Spock, I think that playing Spock would cease to be the pleasure that it is. I'm having as much fun playing him as I possibly can. When the time comes to think about other characters, I'll start thinking about that then.
Well, it is so successful. It could go on for years anyway, couldn't it?
Well, I would hope so. I'd like to have a steady job for a while. Yeah. Live long and prosper.